Hello, today we are going to talk about how to install Autodesk software. This will be good and correct for the 2017 through 2021 versions of software and beyond. First thing you're going to do is you're going to go to manage.autodesk.com here. You're going to click on all products and services and you're going to go down and you're going to find the product you wish to install. So this is the product listing here. When it comes up, what we're going to install today is AutoCAD Architecture. We can install anything from this list, but we're going to use AutoCAD Architecture as our example. It's going to be very similar for any of the AutoCAD based programs. So I'm just going to click View Downloads. This is going to open up here. I select again which version I want, which is 2021, what my platform is, what my language is. And the important thing to know here is that you have a View All button. Generally speaking, most people are set to install now. This is prone to failure. And anytime that you call support and we need to do troubleshooting, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to ask if you used install now. If you did that, we're going to use the download now method instead. The download now method is by far the best one. It'll actually install an Autodesk download manager. And if your internet connection drops below a certain threshold, it'll pause itself and then restart when necessary. So I'm going to come down here and change this to download now. Your other option is a browser download. What this will do is it will download spanned executables. You may have more than one, and if you only end up getting one of the multiple components, we'll have to go another route to get the other ones. But download now is our usual preferred here in support. So when I click download now, if I don't have the download manager installed, it's going to prompt me to download and install a file. I'll run that file. It'll bring up the download manager. Since I already have it installed, it asks me if I want to switch apps. I'll say yes. What that will do at this point was actually trigger the Autodesk Download Manager, and we should see a box pop open. Just like this. It's going to queue this up. Now, your standard default is C:\Autodesk. I've changed my default to D because I don't want to have all of my programs on my C drive. Instead, I put my installers on D. You can change this to wherever you want. You can also use network locations and full UNC paths. So what I'll do here is just simply click OK. We will see our AutoCAD Architecture get queued up here, and once we start seeing some traffic right here, I'll know that it's downloading. Now, as you can see here, the download is nearly complete. Once the download completes, it generally automatically launches the installer, and once the installer fires, we will go through the process of installing the software. Again, this is a normal process. You can actually have up to 3 programs at the same time downloading, and when one completes, the next one will start up. So again, the download has now completed, and it automatically launches the install. In cases where you need to just do something else, you can always come back to that screen and click the install button right here if you've not installed the software, or if multiple software completes at the same time, you can only have one installer running at a time, so you can come back and install the other ones. So on this screen right here, you can create a deployment. We're not going to cover that today, but that's to create a deployment for multiple people, multiple machines. Install tools and utilities. Again, what this is this is for LM tools if you're running network licensing, and this is some of the other components like the CAD Manager tools. We're not going to cover that today either. So what we're going to do is we're going to come down here and we're going to click the install button. The first thing it's going to do is it's going to determine our installation requirements. Once it's determined those installation requirements, it's going to turn around and pop up an end user license agreement here. Make sure that you select the correct country or region you are in. Make sure you click select or accept. And then once you click next, it'll take us to the installer. If at any time you run into problems, you can always come down here and select installation help. If you're unsure of the system requirements, you can also click that, and you can also click release notes to see some information about this. So when I click next, it's going to bring me up here. A couple of things to be aware of. I have a little yellow triangle here. This is just simply telling me that since I already have AutoCAD 2021 installed, this is going to install to the same location and I cannot change this. If this was my first time installing any of the AutoCAD based 2021 software, I would have the option to come in here and browse and change this path if I so chose. So we're going to expand this out, and the first thing that we're going to look for is we're going to look for the installation type, right? We generally do typical. The important thing is that in a lot of cases you will not get the express tools. You want to make sure you put a check mark in the express tools, and you'll see here that I am not going to create a shortcut for AutoCAD 2021. That's no desktop shortcut. I have a global, a US imperial, and a US metric. So I do not want the US global or the global shortcut, so I will come here and change the desktop shortcut to no. I will still have access to the global because it will still be created in the start menu, but it will not create a desktop icon. So this will only create US imperial and US metric. If I have other countries that I want, I can go ahead and select those here. And I can go down here and do any additional changes. Again, I'm doing an out-of-the-box installation, so I'm just going to leave all of these by themselves. If you had specific template folders you wanted to point to, or specific layer standards, things like that. And these options are very similar in plain AutoCAD. AutoCAD Mechanical has its own set. Once done, simply click the roll-up button and click Install. It will now actually go through and run the installer. And as a side note, anytime that you're running an installer like this and you run into a 1603 error or you log any error codes, you get a pop-up screen that says you've run into an error, or you get to the end screen where it says either success or failure. That generally means either you're missing a prerequisite or something else did not get installed properly or something is not triggering. At that point, generally we're into remediation where we need to do some additional updates to the system ahead of time, and then we can actually continue with the install and try and get it installed successfully. It's just more information for you to know ahead of time because those are the things that usually occur. So my installation is now completed. You'll see that I have green check marks here that everything has been successfully installed. All I'll do is click Finish. Sometimes you may get this where it wants you to restart in order for your machine in order to correctly launch the software. In most cases, I would suggest either hitting yes now if you've got everything closed out, or hitting no, close out of any software you have open, and then proceeding to go ahead and reboot your machine. Now you'll see here I have two icons on my desktop, right? I have Architecture US Metric and Architecture 2021 US Imperial. Now we have not licensed or put any license information in here, so now what we're going to do is we're going to launch these programs. I'm just going to launch one of them. It doesn't matter which one. In my case, I chose US English. First thing it's going to do is it's going to pop up here. It will allow me to migrate my settings from any previously installed AutoCAD architecture. The big thing that I tell people is if you're going to do this, you do not want to bring forward the CUI. You can bring the other information forward, but the CUI, really you should not bring this forward because this is specific to the year of product, and you may find out that you're missing buttons, and or you may find out that buttons have clouds on them if you don't. In my case, I like the out-of-the-box defaults because I want to rebuild things the way I want, so I'll just click the X. If I want to migrate these again, make sure you uncheck the CUI, migrate over from whatever version you want, and then hit the checkbox. So I'm going to do this. We should now get the AutoCAD Architecture splash screen to come up. The splash screen is now up, so now we're actually loading AutoCAD Architecture for the very first time. Now there's a couple of new things with the 2021 software specifically that you need to be aware of. The 2017 through 2020 software, it will bring you up to a Let's Get Started screen. In the 2021 software, however, it will not. It will automatically, if you have previous installed software, and you are assigned a license under standalone, or if you're a network license user, generally speaking, what it's going to do is it's automatically going to bring you up and it's automatically going to log you in and correctly license your software. So we'll go to About AutoCAD Architecture 2021. Right? So in order to correct some of this, or what we normally get here is we will get, right? Now, since I've installed a new version, you get this. I'm just going to skip the association at this time because I don't really need it. Right? So the screen most of you are going to get, right? We're going to come down here. I'm going to manage my license. I'm going to click Change License Type. So this is the screen that you're going to get. Normally, if you are on maintenance or you still have a serial number for a standalone seat, you would click here to enter a serial number and go through that activation process. If you are on a network license, you will need to select use a network license. Click select here. Generally speaking, if you already have previously network licensed software on your machine, it should find that information and should not prompt you. Otherwise, it will prompt you for a server name and whether or not it's a single, redundant, or multiple server. Now, in my particular case here, I can click switch user to switch to another user. Otherwise, this would say sign in with Autodesk ID. You would click this to activate your software. Almost all standalone software now is sign in based, so this is what you need to click is the sign in. So I'll just go ahead and close out of this. I am now fully active, licensed, and I'm ready to go with AutoCAD Architecture 2021. That's the install process. It's fairly straightforward. Again, you don't preload any of the licensing information like you did in 2016 and earlier. It's all the same installer now, and the licensing is triggered when you launch the product for the first time. Thank you and have a good day.